Hello everyone! We are here for the final WCS cast for Copa,
Yay.
Intercontinental, blah 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 blah.
I've become really accustomed to associating you greeting the stream with Mrs. Doubtfire lately. Hello, everyone.
It's not that quite high-pitched.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
It's not quite that bad. We're in the lobby, so it should be starting soon, hopefully.
So, actually, this is where I'm gonna just get really mad. Okay, so I slept through my alarm a little bit, guys. I did not sleep well last night. But, furthermore, I was like, well, at least I know that this won't start on time, so I'll have time to eat my breakfast. If this is the one time they start on time, I swear to God.
It might just be. I don't. Nope. Just kidding. They're waiting for the Portuguese stream. So yesterday it was the Spanish stream. Today it's the Portuguese stream.
Well, that gives me time to finish eating, so I'm just gonna mute my mic and be disappeared for the moment.
All right. So this is the final four of the European passport qualifiers, which we started casting like last week, and they're finally finishing for whatever reason. Their admins weren't available at a European friendly time for like 8 days or some shit. Like, I have no idea. But that's not even true because I did the server qualifiers, so I don't know. But it's the final four. It's uThermal versus Elazer. uThermal did actually lose in the losers bracket once, but since Showtime actually advanced via the server qualifier, uThermal, having been the person that he beat to get to that final four spot, replaced him. So the bracket isn't entirely accurate if you're looking at it. Terminal uThermal in the bracket didn't actually choose your Showtime, but it was the easiest way, I guess, to get into advance. So all best of three. We have like a jillion. This is probably the fullest lobby I've ever seen. Everyone's got a co-caster, and there's a second English stream today for whatever reason. Yeah, that's a lot of people. I've never seen a StarCraft 2 lobby fill up. Not maybe like 2 years ago for something, but this was the first time in a long time. Yeah. But since we still have to wait for the Portuguese stream to set up, I don't think they have a live setting, but anyways. Yeah, there's not much else to talk about. It's glad that it's finally gonna be over, I suppose. I mean, I think that the players are gonna be glad that it's finally over. Nurchio and Snoots have been waiting a long time, I suppose, to actually play again. I don't think either one of them... Well, if they were in the server qualifiers, they didn't get far. This is all I know. Since it is the passport qualifiers, and we've been casting a lot of server qualifiers lately. Recall that the passport qualifiers actually do have top 2 advance. I do believe that's still true for the European side of things. Actually, I should double check. Thread qualifier, here we go. 8 from passport qualifiers. Yeah, passport. Top 2 qualifies. Yep, okay, so that means that we're going to have even less matches than yesterday. And we're still waiting. How are you guys today? I'll learn in 2 minutes. Great. Amazing. I guess I'm glad that the European server was able to get up and running in time for this. I was trying to log on for like 15 minutes, and then just as the stream went live, I was allowed to actually log in. There's been DDoS attacks and stuff like that. So I'm a little concerned. I know Wardy hosted the stream as soon as we went live, so if you're still around, thank you for that. Excuse me. Anything happen overnight? Lots of follows. It's always good to see. Nope, not really. Not so much since last night. Oh, they're ready. Ah, cat, you're so not graceful. Did you guys see that? Was that on camera? Almost. He's trying to get on my lap, but I'm sitting kind of weird. I guess Rifkin's still eating, in which case, I mean, I can just solo cast. Or so I assume he's still muted. The first couple minutes, as long as he's in the lobby.
No, I'm here. I'm also talking to the admin right now.
Hello, kitty.
All right, so I personally am excited for this match. Are you?
Totally. uThermal versus Elazer should be a really good TvZ. The loser of this is straight up out of the tournament, as usual for the losers brackets, but the winner of this will actually go on to face the loser of the winners. And the winner of the winners will actually advance. Again, Passport Qualifier's top 2, so there's only 3 matches today.
Yeah. I actually know that Nurture and Snoot are about ready to go too. I don't know if they've necessarily already done vetoes or not, but they were both actually asking about playing before Elazer and uThermal. So hopefully it'll be kind of smooth just transitioning from one series to the other and won't take a lot of downtime. But guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, we did experience a lot of downtime between games through all 3 of the other qualifiers and their finales. So just gonna put it out there, you might see a break or 2 more than the average.
Maybe. I always hope not, but it always happens anyway.
I think with us, our logic is like if the game is short, we don't want to play ads. Like even if there is time for it. But if it's like, okay, well, we'll be waiting 30 minutes for the next game. We'll see you guys in 2.
Yeah. Galactic Process is the first map. Surprised Elazer allowed this to even get through at all.
Yeah, this is uThermal he's playing against now, not Showtime, so this is kind of a dangerous map to let through the cracks. I think, though, this will be an interesting series because uThermal expressed, now this might just be a bit of falsity, right? But expressing that he's really worn out, that he's really tired on more than like one occasion here, just really, as he said, worn out by these qualifiers. And I don't blame him. He's had to go through all of the European ones, all of the North American ones, and to find himself in this very last chance here in the losers bracket.
I mean, he did have knowledge that he was going to play Showtime a little bit earlier, but unfortunately he was in the top 4 of the American bracket. You know, you go with it.
He had knowledge he was going to fight Elazer.
He had knowledge he was going to play Showtime?
Yeah, you just said he had knowledge he was going to fight Showtime, which is...
Oh, my bad. Yeah, okay. I meant replace Showtime. Anyway, it's unfortunate on top of everything to get spikes for uThermal.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But in the top right, maybe not going to go for multiple racks because of this. It is the red Terran uThermal.
Okay, well, his opponent in the bottom left side going to be the blue Zerg player, Elazer. Now, I guess we're talking a lot about uThermal, and like he's been through all these qualifiers and he's been trying his best, but Elazer's actually been in that same boat. Yeah. I really don't know who I give this one to, because on one hand, you got uThermal who's doing what is looking to be like a 3 racks opener. He's going to be doing a lot of predictable stuff, I imagine, through this series. But at the same time, uThermal is like one of these guys who you don't put baby in a corner. When he's down in a series, when he's tired and exhausted, that seems to be when we get his best results.
Yeah. He, I don't know, he has the Super Saiyan effect, or whatever you want to call it. And he does also have a really nasty 3 reaction just in general, like regardless if he's down 1 or not. Which he decides to do, despite feeling maybe some lags, some spikes here and there. It's Galactic Process, it's uThermal, he does it as an opener, you know, and it can still win him games. I am especially glad he does this based on how Elazer dealt with the 3 racks yesterday against Elazer, which is to say not well. He died to it on Frost, and that's a very different map one that you didn't expect it on. Of course, for Galactic Process, he's probably mentally prepared to deal with it, even though he's not actually built a build here that is a hard counter or anything like that. There's really not a hard counter build, but even, you know, like a pool first and just an automatic Roachborn. Okay, well, he puts the automatic Roachborn down. There you go. Is something that you can do if you know your opponent's very likely to go for it. I guess this was a hopeful third, like, okay, just in case he did throw down a third, or a natural command center, but that's not going to happen, so he sends that drone back. As long as he can get the roaches out, this should be a easier hold. Of course, 3 Reapers at a time, still betting SCVs. It's not proxied. uThermal can and will macro out of this.
I mean, yeah, but the problem I'm so worried about is Elazer, he's doing all the right moves right now, but all it takes is like that once, for either player really, for either the Reapers to be miscontrolled for a second or for the Queens to stop paying attention and get picked off, that's when this can snowball one way or the other. That's what makes this so dangerous. Like, no matter how well you handle it, if you make one mistake, it could cost you everything.
Yep. Well, he's not taking really all that great of trades, and, you know, this is without link speed quite yet. This is without roaches. Really being a little more aggressive might have been possible, but now that everything is out and about, it's going to be really hard to get these queens. In fact, as they get transfused energy, he's not going to be getting very much at all from this push. What he got from it was a bit of a worker lead. Of course, his command center is only halfway done, and, you know, Elazer forced to respond to it, but Elazer realized very quickly how well this has gone for him, and he is going back into droning. That's too many roaches.
That is too many roaches. Now, the thing about these Reapers, however, that we've seen out of uThermal in the past, and I don't know that we'll necessarily see here, is he's actually been able to use these almost in terms of like his own drops. You know, Elazer moves out for the attack, he comes in with the Reapers, he'll get some drone kills, maybe brings the Elazer back home. But the point of this is still that he is getting a bit of time to, you know, macro and do and buildings and whatnot on his side of the map because the Reapers are buying him time, because they're distracting on the other side of the map. I don't think they're going to get to that drone line anytime soon, and it does seem like Elazer has a handle on things, but they are certainly keeping him at home, which is a pretty big deal for uThermal.
Yeah. uThermal, Elazer knew he has to stay at home. I mean, really all he can do is just drone, so I'm a little surprised he's even getting more roaches. I think he's a little afraid if those links went down that he doesn't have enough, especially if grenades are going on that ramp, but he's going to fall behind in economy if he can't get that third base up, and if he doesn't, you know, keep on droning as uThermal. Well, uThermal didn't go for a third CC. He'll probably add one on after he gets the Medivacs, and he'll have a good dropping force. That's Stim and Medivacs can actually take on a small number of roaches, especially if the grenades are still available. Getting one roach. Looking for that drone for the third. Elazer has tried to hide it. Successfully hidden.
So it's been 3 Reapers dead for the cost of 10 lings, 1 roach, 1 queen. Again, not too cost ineffective out of uThermal, but for the opening he did, this was dedicated and the damage has not been done to make this necessarily worthwhile. But Stim's almost finished up. We'll see the follow-up. We've got a third base start for him on location. I think just generally speaking, uThermal's, he had a fine game. Just this opening did not work from the way he wanted it to. And the only question remaining for me is how does Elazer deal with the transition out of this? Because it's gonna be a pretty normal follow-up, right? Like uThermal's not going mech out of the blue and doing something really weird. It's just gonna be bio.
Yeah. uThermal didn't get what he wanted, but I think he got enough to know that he can macro out of it. That's why he loves this build, I think. So Elazer, their transition's always very difficult. You're forced into roaches, even if that wasn't originally your plan. It's kind of hard to get back out of these, especially since usually you cancel speed for it, although he did in this game. But he's obviously dedicating to it, got +1 on the way, getting the roach speed. He's going to be very careful with how he splits his units. He knows uThermal, and he knows that there's going to be multi-pronged attacks, but already slipping a little bit as the F2'd or something right there. Roaches were supposed to be in position. Actually takes a fight with him, and he focus fires. Especially if he had combat shields, this would go great for uThermal, but still trading out these roaches is going to force Elazer to stop droning. Still not at an ideal count, only at 51. Ends up taking a really good trade. The Reapers are still alive over here. Ravagers are the only thing left over, and those could be targeted down just as easy. Drones go down now as well, and I would call this follow-up a very good follow-up for uThermal.
Oh, absolutely.
Reapers get into that natural drone line, toss some grenades out, could leave right now, or kill almost 2 roaches. Damn. Queen up in the main base goes down too, and Elazer has definitely failed on the follow-up defense. Recall that uThermal has a third CC up. He has a wall up as well in case there was a counterattack. That might be Ulazer's only hope, actually, but I mean, it'd be such a lame-looking one, you know? He would have roach speed, and that's great, but he wouldn't have upgrades. Oh, more went down. 18 total drones went down.
Still sitting on 40, though. Not out of the game just yet. Reapers on the top side contesting those roaches a bit. Kind of funny to see. Not exactly effective, but yeah, they get a couple of kills for their value. Common Shield's now done. And, of course, 1-1 on the way. uThermal also places down more barracks. I mean, he's set up on 3 bases. He's going to be able to just drop those mules, build those marines, and there's nowhere close to Ultralisk. So he'll be able to get away with all of this bio for some time. I do think it's like the worst when you do see Zerg players, you know, they're going to rush to that hive and you've just made like your second round of marines. You're like, oh, son of a, what do I do now?
Yeah. I'm a little surprised Elazer goes for the 1-1 on his melee. It's not the first time we've seen a Zerg do this. Actually, I think I find it more common versus Protoss now, is to go for like all the attack upgrades plus maybe a Carapace, but we'll see what he starts dedicating more to. This could just be in preparation for, as you know, you were talking about those Ultralisks, because he's trying to get the Infestation Pit right now. And he really only needs so many upgrades on Ravagers, especially if you are going to combo them with Fungals. The army supply is looking quite scary. These Ravagers can be targeted down as long as Corrosive Vials are dodged. He's not going to tango with them. He's got his own 1-1 finishing up. So while Elazer has, you know, 1-1-1, and that's fantastic, it's really not technically like an upgrade lead. Just well upgraded all around. Armory's already done. 2-2 could start as uThermal pushes with this. Trying to catch Medivacs is going to be very difficult. Thermal's not going to give that up.
Well, I mean, Elazer's also not the type of player to really go into Spire a lot of the time that we've seen, so there's not going to be those quick mutas or quick corruptors. And uThermal should know this. He's played Elazer enough, after all, so taking advantage of Medivacs while he can for as much as he can. The army supplies are starting to get really bad, though. These trades for uThermal, like, they're little pickoffs here and there, but they're every time. Him getting away with very little losses. Elazer losing out on Ravagers, Roaches, Lings, and now it's like 30 supply difference. He goes for the Infestation Pit. He's going to try to dive towards Hive, I imagine, but that's going to be so long until the possibility of Ultras are even in play. Infestors might be his only hope.
Infestation Pit might be picked off. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it's going to feel bad, man. He does get a couple Infestors.
Okay. Well, that's he didn't start the Hive. He could barely afford it and didn't think of it, so that's a long time to wait now again. Corrosive Bile and Fungal can certainly buy a lot of time, but there's so many things working into Elazer right now. He's not at a good drone count. He lost all of his creep at this point. Maybe there's like one creeper here. That's it. He's not on a 4th base. And uThermal, well, I guess uThermal did not start his 2-2 as fast as he could have. He's a little light on those minerals, but Elazer's 2-2 on Lings is not really. I mean, that's not what it's really for. It's for these Ultralisks, you know? It's great that his Lings will be a little more powerful for the follow-up push, but with a couple of tanks, a huge army, I don't think it matters even if these Lings had 3-3. They're tangoing with the drop fine. Laser getting a little bit, I guess, right there, but. Oh, I cannot deal with this push. No cancel. Oh, God. Oh, those Fungals are ready. Almost. Oh, no, so close. Now they are.
I like those splits, though. He knew the Fungals were coming. He's going to lose a good chunk of his Medivacs. Still, though, the tanks remain alive and the Marauders keep pushing. It's that supply difference again. GG. uThermal will take the first game in this best of 3.
Yeah, really convincingly. I mean, this is the problem with letting any good 3-Rax Reaper map get through. It's, for uThermal, that is. Like, it's not just that he'll do it, he'll macro out of it as well. Unfortunately.
I think another part of it, too, is just, again, I feel like we are not pro players. And at any point, if we can predict something coming, the player should absolutely be able to predict something coming, too, right? So it is always a little bit funny just watching this get played out the way it does. Either way, if Elazer's got a big map for the second one, if it's something like New Gettysburg or even Frost, this could easily turn into a 1-1 very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Elazer did not look super strong against Elazer yesterday, but that might have been the time or the server. I fear that it is, like, now comboed with facing uThermal, who's, of course, a very good Terran player, but that they're both a little tired from all of that. Elazer might just get 2-0'd. I had a lot of hopes for him, I guess, starting a week ago as he advanced the brackets, but
The same logic gets
lately.
applied right back to uThermal, though.
No, but I think uThermal is better in these clutch moments. I think he's had better TvZ over the past few days than Elaser's had ZVT. All that.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have the lobby up yet, guys. Kind of be expected. So we'll be back in a few minutes with Game 2 ASAP.
Almost perfectly timed out.
Almost.
Of course, I gotta check if all the streams are ready. Just assume. Whatever.
I mean, in fairness, we say this a little bit annoyingly because we're just, I guess, not accustomed to it. But if it's something where, like, they always do this all the time, always, it's probably just whatever to them.
It's actually very polite of them, but it does.
It is very polite of them. I love that this is actually classic American attitude. Like, speaking as a Canadian, where it's like, why are you always apologizing, man? Why are you always holding that for me? Like not you specifically. I'm just saying, like, this is my experience in life. It's like, damn you and your politeness.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you brought up the map Frost.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I would expect to hope to see out of Elazer, at least somewhere in the map pool. We don't know what the vetoes look like, guys. This isn't loser's pick or anything, but bigger maps like this are not bad for Terran, but they're better for Zerg, obviously, especially if a player like Elazer plays the way we expect him to. So this could be a turnaround. Spawning in the top right side to kick off game number 2 for the WCS Mexico Copa Intercontinental final day of qualifiers. It's going to be the blue Zerg player, Elazer.
In the bottom left, as the red Terran, he is uThermal. Cross position. This does complicate things for uThermal. There's probably a very good chance now Elazer has room to breathe, basically, which I think is the #1 thing you need against a guy like uThermal, who not only can early game rush you, but also mid game pile on that pressure super, super hard.
Yeah. I think as well, it's almost a priority for him, as we do know, once again, uThermal, not like he can't deal with ultras, but he does struggle at dealing with ultras, so anything you can do to end the game sooner than that, whether it's doing something silly like those old Hellbat pushes or whether it's going like super ham with just drops, either way, you just don't want to have to let your opponent get to Hive and have to deal with that later.
Yeah.
And we've seen too, like, he's played against so many really good players. You got Elazer here, you got Snoot, you got Nurchio and other cups, and all the time seeing all these players end up in those top 4, top 8, they constantly play against each other. And we know uThermal can go toe-to-toe with a lot of them. It's just a lot of them have also figured out uThermal, unfortunately. So, well, he did win Shanghai not too long ago, actually. And that did make him a pretty big champion for the year. We've still seen a lot of weakness out of uThermal.
Sure. Quick second racks. Okay, this is kind of what I expected on Frost. It seems to be especially on maps, and although uThermal doesn't know it's not favorable positions, but also under your positions, that this is a basic build to fall back on.
That reminds me too. This is like the one map the Elazer really, really wants to get cross on, and I don't mean because of a race or because of a strategy. He just literally will always say, "I want cross spawn on this map," and he gets it yet again. He's a lucky guy.
Yeah, right. I think he that one time against Elazer is the time he didn't get it, and he got kind of wrecked to the 3-rack super because of it. But anyway, Elazer, he's such a good chance to get up to Hive Tech. As you're talking about last game, not really the type of guy to go for Aspire. A lot of European Zergs are, definitely experimenting with different things other than just, roaches with melee upgrades for sure. But I think the most comfortable thing for Elazer would be to go for roaches, double upgrade lings, and fast ultras, like he tried to do last game, and just, of course, had to deal with other things first. Has he gotten a scouts? uThermal gets a pretty nice scouts, but Elazer does not have a scout at all. He didn't even send lings across the map, because figuring they would be picked up by the Reapers, just not bothering. Maybe he figures he knows what type of build uThermal will be doing. Because he's also not the type ever to get Overlord speed. I'll certainly notice this from Guru and Elazer. So the scouts on the first step of things, like whether or not this is going to be like a tank drop or Banshees or whatever, it's going to be super late. But then as well, the follow-up, you don't know if it's going to be 3rd CC or a tank push. Now with the positions, it should be 3rd CC, but you never know.
I think part of that too is with uThermal, I'm just thinking, like, when he gets desperate, he'll whip out weird stuff, right? Like, we saw him even go mech versus, I don't remember who it was, Nerchio maybe or somebody, like, a little while ago, because he was losing in the series. But he's up a game. I don't really think you expect him to do anything weird. Like, it's got to be pretty much predictable Terran. It's a good and a bad thing, though. You look at the classically great Terrans, right, Polt amongst others throughout the years, or last couple years specifically, and they don't do a lot of weird stuff. They play Terran in a very standard, very straightforward way. And uThermal is absolutely one of those guys who's on that train, like I say, half the time at least, if not more. But you can always be a little bit paranoid, I guess, about that one time he'll do something a bit strange.
He does have tank pushes up his sleeve. He's still one of those Terrans that does it.
Yeah.
But again, cross-position Frost, it's a little unlikely. A lot of Lings in the way in preparation for aggression, basically. Again, he hasn't scouted the exact build, but it's around that time. And he just barely doesn't see it, but then he sees with his unlock anyway, so... There you go. Knowledge received. Front does not show the double engineering bay. That would have been the first indication of a third CC as well. So again, it's about perfect defense and then back into droning. Elazer at 49 drones is actually already looking pretty good. You've seen a lot of Zergs lately, I feel, over defend against this. Maybe not relying on their queens enough, or just not having that perfect amount of Lings. He tries to get an Overlord, but in doing so kind of
Cost
splits,
him.
yeah, like he didn't micro against those Lings that were off of creep without queens. Had he been all clumped up and microing, he would take a much better fight.
And it's also a little bit surprising seeing like 4 queens over here so quickly, ready to deal with the drop too. Like you're expecting to run into queens, but not right away.
Bringing back that one empty medevac, because why not? And just leaving the second one to do drops. He should be following up with another one too. No, I guess only 2 medevacs now coming out. Tries to get on top of the drone line, not really working out too well. 0-0 workers killed. Blazer already on a 4th base. Blazer's doing a great job defending. He's not going to roaches, but it still remains to be seen if he's going to go into a spire. Crossbound Frost, I would say like this is a good map to do that on. Beetling Blink, completely change up your style here from those roaches you showcased last game and yesterday, I suppose. But he could just throw down Invitation Pit as well. And we're still waiting on seeing that, actually. Ling's gonna catch these medevacs. Be able to chase them, maybe? Maybe they didn't catch him. Just that little bit out of range. So they're going to get on top of this 4th base. Maybe do some damage to it? I don't think they can kill it. The drop is denied once more. And the Lings are not having any luck getting into that natural base.
Well, production cycle is going to be picking up for uThermal here shortly. He did just finish his extra barracks, and that's when you get those add-ons rolling. 1-1's going to time out for this too, but this is, unfortunately, kind of what we described Terran not wanting to have happen, right? Like, you get your 1-1 finished up, you just finish combat shells, instead you do a bit of drops, and you see that they're already on their way to starting Hive. I mean, the Infestation Pit's only halfway done, so I'm exaggerating a bit, but for uThermal, he's not getting much damage done with these drops. In fact, barely killing Lings for them.
That was a decent trade on Lings for sure, but it is like just Lings, right? Like at this point last game, he was like slaughtering drone lines left and right, taking amazing trades versus a handful of roaches. So it's definitely not looking so great for uThermal's mid game here, but uThermal is a different player than he was 2-3 months ago. He doesn't just roll over and die to Ultralisk, even though he still has problems with them. So the transition into late game might not be so bad. His 3rd CC has been done for a while. Kind of sucks it took so long to actually get over there and running. And he's almost at a perfect SCV count. Upgrades started late, once again. It happened last game, but it was kind of like not a big deal because he was already winning so much. Oh no. Oh, their spawn's a little late, so they do get trapped with the Lings.
Waiting for those Balings to pop off on something, man. They were like in the heart of the army. But okay, drop goes up to the north. He's going to see the fact that Hive started now. He's going to confirm that. He knew the Infestation Pit was down, but knowing the time of that Hive could be a little bit alarming. Because what do you really do? You can go in 2 different directions for this. One really is the path of Liberators. The other is path of Ghosts. We have seen some players try and use Widow Mines. You know, you get those baits out, you just kite the Ultras off creep all day, but that's not how you're going to want to have to deal with this when you're trying to push into your opponent.
Yeah, and one really disappointing thing for uThermal is that not only is he not getting a lot of drones or even trading necessarily that well with the army, although he's trading okay, he's not clearing up creep, you know? Like, all of those drops
Yeah.
we saw attempted into the main base that have died could have been on the edges of this this creep, denying it, stopping live creatures from continuing forward. Now he has to push plus clean it up as he goes. I really like uThermal's Frost plan. He always does this in every single position. And it seems to have been worse so far. Sometimes it is, you know, free 3 supply depots if he's not paying attention, just like now, but it also alerts him to attacks. Because Elazer's gonna try and... Well, no, he has an overload over here already. Never mind. There is no 4th base, which is a little concerning. uThermal, you know, if he is gonna go into that late game, if he's not just gonna try and win with this push and hope to God it works, he needs a 4th base. And it's not coming down, so I'm a little worried. This is not a bad army, but it's just it's one that's gonna go on creep. Oh, fear lords.
Ooh,
And probably against
was a
ultras
mistake.
soon. Oh, pretty fast.
This was
response
another
to the main.
mistake.
Yeah, at least the main
Oopsies.
was covered.
Yeah. I mean, uThermal's gonna clean this up. It's still losing about 6 years, so work is not fun. 3 bases, not 4. No planetary planted down. He is decisively just trying to get his army supply as big as he possibly can. Liberators, Marauders, Marines, Widow Mines galore, but the problem still persists. It's that giant Ultralist you're gonna have to tackle some way, somehow. And as stated before, if all the Lings and all the Banelings are gone, you can kite Ultras. You know, it really is not that big of a problem when they don't have proper support next to them, but that's the thing they do currently.
Mm-hmm. Elazer's really run away with this game. He had much better defense with just pure Ling than he did last game with those roaches. One of my burn on the high ground can get probably maybe like 1 good hit. Pulls back a large portion of the reinforcements and the medevacs that were supposed to be dropping. That was not what uThermal wanted, I'm pretty sure. Gets a 5th base cancel. That's nice, but 4 bases is still pretty damn good for a laser. You definitely would have wanted a 4th base snipe, because even then that wouldn't have been enough. Trying to get that Ultralisk. He does realize he doesn't have plating as it goes down so quickly. Liberator gets a couple shots on the other Ultras, but plating is just about done. And 3 on the attack, actually, not the defense. Carapace is done.
Even with those hits on the Ultras, you see they don't take that much damage because they just have so much health overall. But flying northwards with those medevacs, the attack on the top left also moving in. Meanwhile, the laser moves into what should have been the 4th base, and he's thinking like, wait, why don't you have a 4th base, bro?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like just now coming down. That's pretty late, but should this damage continue, I suppose? Like, should he keep a laser from attacking into him? You could get that nice and set up. This base probably should have been canceled. I guess they just barely didn't see it be put down. But a main base Doom drop doesn't usually work out that well against Zerg. No, he was the 3rd instead. Link
Actually,
counterattack once again doesn't work out.
I really like the idea of trying to use this cliff, but he's got to take care of the Corruptors if he wants to be able to dance through this. The Lings are not too hard to deal with, but the Ultras and the Corruptors going to push this back. 1 full medevac going to go down. Nice Spore Caller positioning out of a laser.
Yeah. Corruptor's already over here, so all the drops are being taken care of, and uThermal is losing them too, so he's got to be really careful not to just get counterattacked. He has some SimCity, and he has some, you know, not stag defense, but literally defense that can't move, I guess, so in a way stag defense. That can scare away Ultras, but you know, there's Corruptors, and uThermal knows that. He can't just depend on Liberators and a laser basically 1-ing with Ultralisk, which some Zergs do. Some Zergs are very like, okay, I got Ultralisk, let's win, but a laser ran away with this game. He got to Aspire, and he has almost all the tools necessary for a late game Zerg army. He is missing spellcasters.
Why is his Carapace so late? I didn't even notice it just now.
Yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or an evolution ever at snipe that we missed. No, he just got +3 melee first. That is a large Zerg army. As I said, it's missing a couple of things, but as long as those Corruptors can take the Liberators, because you know what uThermal's missing is Ghosts, then it should be enough. These Widow Mines could get really nice hits on the Banelings. They do, and the Ultralisk, dang. But he can't deal with the Corruptor count. And I don't think he has a big enough ground army to deal with the leftover Ultralisk, maybe? Oh, he's actually pretty close to having enough on the ground.
A lot of this is just a little bit too close. I mean, but the problem is he's still losing the SCVs at that base. Widow Mines are popping off on Corruptors, not the Ultras like I think he wanted them to. I mean, for uThermal, GG first off, so a laser shot set up on 1. But for uThermal, that was a better late game than I expected, but still ultimately goes that same direction of just like, okay, laser got to the late game versus uThermal. It's gonna be up like a big way.
Yeah. That was a better mid-game for you, Elazer. That's the type of mid-game that you look at and you're like, oh shit, like how do I deal damage then? Because they were ready at every single drop. But a lot of it had to do with that map, and I think the third map should be better suited for uThermal. Again, not sure how the vetoes went down, but as always, since the lobby takes a while to get up, we're gonna go to a break. See you soon. Hello.
Hello.
Lobby's almost up.
But some interesting stuff, some gossip I'd like to go over. But afterwards, so last night we announced our temporary team league, and we actually have quite a few signups already. In fact, almost enough signups to start picking a roster of teams. I'm not going to read all the names out on this list, and there's quite a few good ones actually. But we got some of the awesome. I hesitate to say amateur crowd, but I really just mean like non-A-list players. Like we got really good solo Tarantias and Lily Canine, Beastie Cutie, Peely Peely, right? Then we got a couple of very interesting people like Cats and Major signed up for it too, amongst Panda Bear, me, Game Time, some other NA folks. I'm really curious to see how this will go because the people I would expect like Cats want to be the team captain, like they've opted in for it. Same with Beastie. And I think that'd be really cool having those like masterminds go against one another.
Masterminds.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be up to us, of course. We can have our sponsors pick their players out, line them up against the wall, that sort of deal. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be fun. Anyways, Dawnson Station being the last map of all maps. Oh, jeez. The thing I was going to gossip about, however, is if you guys haven't seen, there's a Reddit thread up on this too. Nazgul, for those who don't know, owner of Team Liquid, recently tweeted like about 10 minutes ago that they're looking to pick up another StarCraft 2 player. They want to reinforce their ranks. Who do you think it should be? And a lot of people are, tweeting who their favorite player is basically at them. But one name that's consistently being tweeted here is uThermal, right? And this got me thinking, like, I assumed when uThermal, because he announced that Montreal will be his last tournament with AT Gaming or whatever. And I assumed just due to the timing of it, that was going to be Team Expert. He'd be joining Scarlet and Bly and such. But maybe we might see a Team Liquid's uThermal by the end of the year, depending on if he wins this qualifier or not. Might just be the clutch decision maker for Team Liquid.
Maybe. I think it'd be cool to see him on either team, to be honest. Well, we don't know much about Team Expert.
I don't know Expert, but just going to finishing the thought in Team Liquid really quick though. Every player that's been on Team Liquid, whether it's a temporary, I say quote-unquote player like Vortex and Lucifron, or whether it's the longtime players like Bunny, they've done nothing but improve. Like, everyone who goes on Team Liquid becomes a really good player, I'm just saying. Like, and uThermal's already pretty darn good. It'd be cool to see him really be pushed to his limits. But at any rate, gossip aside, ladies and gentlemen, game number 3, it's tied up 1 apiece. And on the leftmost side of the map, we've got the Red Terran players spawning uThermal.
Thanks to Direct Action for the 7-month resub. Go Dark tomorrow in SSL.
Oh, we got a Zerg lover resub.
Yeah, right. In the bottom right, as the red, as the blue Zerg, it is Elazer. I saw the red dot. That was, I thought, Engineering Bay.
I love that that's... If he needed to finish that, he could, and that'd be supply for him, I guess. I don't know, but bit of a funny block, because I think he knew, like, Elazer is the type of guy to go for gold, like, every single time given the opportunity. So I almost feel, though, it would have been better to let him take that gold and abuse it from the other side of the mineral line, so like we've been seeing a lot of people do.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Blocking it out also solves that problem. So I don't know. It's interesting. I would be curious to see which actually hurts a Zerg player more, being forced to not take the gold or taking the gold and not being able to mine with it.
It does change the Zerg's plan, maybe even drastically, because sure, maybe they take the gold and they're gonna macro, and in which case I would say, why? Like, the chance of you getting away with that against a Terran has got to be pretty low with the option of attacking from the back, and then, tank pushes being so powerful with these chokes and whatnot. It seems like a dangerous tactic, but if they take it and then they have this kind of, like, attack with the goal of macroing behind it, then I understand taking that closer base to your opponent, but we have no idea what Elazer's plan was, because uThermal did supply block it, literally. Yeah, okay. But uThermal, I gotta figure the way that the vetoes went was that Elazer was B, I guess. uThermal, he had to have been chosen Galactic Process, and he had to have chosen Dawnson Station, which means Elazer probably vetoed Frozen Temple and... I'm not even sure. King Sejong, maybe? That's the only one, right? Because uThermal would have vetoed Gettysburg and Apotheosis. Point is, like, I guess there's a couple of maps that Elazer actually feared more against uThermal than the two that we see here. uThermal's not really super abusing the map yet. Does just have the typical opener that we saw even last game going underway here, but it should be followed up with a 2-base tank push. Reaper gets a great scout, by the way. Every which way. And he has an SCV in the back, just in case the Reaper died. To get that secondary scout. I almost thought he was going to hide something back here, but it really is just a normal build. Elazer scouting, not so great. At least he saw that it was a 2-base build, but...
Well, scuffling around in the middle. Looks like that Reaper is sadly about to die. Oh, he gets up to the top of the cliff. Barely alive. Shoots the queen. She kind of hops about, but... Unfortunately, that's no more scouting for uThermal.
Well, no, he's just got this wing. That one's gonna be
I guess,
sneaky.
yeah. I didn't see the little dot in the bottom of the minimap. Yeah, the SCV's still chilling.
Yeah. So odd that uThermal, first of all, did not wall off, but then whatever he saw with the Reaper, he was a little scared of. He built a bunker. It might have been the timing on the 3rd base. Seemed maybe a little bit late to him, or I'm not sure.
I suppose that bunker's a bit awkward, because that means he can't repair that reactor.
That's true. There's actually not a bust, though, on the way, so it shouldn't matter. It just was scary for a moment as the Lings attacked it.
I look at that, I'm like, why not just put a depot on the bottom side instead of bunker? But
I don't think he even wanted to build a bunker. He was really scared of something.
Yeah, not a big deal, obviously, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, well, the SCV got in there for the secondary scout, making sure that that 3rd was going to be an actual 3rd, like actually getting drones over there. He didn't get that full of a scout, but, you know, you still got the timing on the Roach one, which probably would have been back here if they're going to go for it. Which, of course, Elazer's not. Elazer's going for probably a style very similar to last game. However, it's a very different map for it. SCVs do have to repair, as there's not a lot of reinforcements quite yet, since his production is limited. He is following up with a tank push. They said that he probably should. It's not that, you know, like, you can argue, like, well, it's so predictable, why would you do it? It's so good, even if it is predicted from the Zerg tank push on this map. Lings do retreat off of that wall, come back and help out here. From Stutter Step can, yeah, take out quite a few, and he finds a mineral line to fall back to. More Stutter Stepping, and this is actually going pretty damn well. Elazer getting a little overconfident, I think, from the last map. On Frost, he was able to push this back and force it to lift up and leave. And he did do a dangerous thing, like go off of creep. Did the same thing here, and instead uThermal was prepared. He was clumped up, he was microing. And he took an excellent engagement against the Lings, forcing Elazer to build more instead of more drones. Although the gold base, 50 was actually not bad. More Lings to go down here. Queens are still off of creep. You can boost
so
those
far away too.
medevacs. Yeah, there you go. This is an excellent trades here, and he's following up again with a push. So he has to be careful not to, like... I mean, you could argue losing 8, 10 Marines, whatever he's lost, or, you know, keeping them alive for the follow-up push. I think with how many Lings he's killed, it's been worth it, but he does want as much as possible going with that follow-up, so he saves the one medevac.
So while he's kind of baiting and getting these hits, I do want to give some credit to Elazer. He did actually get this rocks down in time. So many instances we see these drops go off and those rocks are barely alive. So the Marines can completely zone out the Lings, they can't get through, and then it's just kind of even worse than this. But the trades here get a little bit perhaps baited. The medevacs start unloading. If they'd been here a little bit sooner, this would have been a much better fight for uThermal.
Agreed. The medevac went to go get repaired. I thought maybe it'd pick up the tanks too, but it's so low that would have been very dangerous. He's going to try and find another position, but he's not going to be able to find a better one. If this is no creep spread and he gets the tanks right here, it's so good.
It's funny if we had that one SCV right inside these drops, actually.
Yeah. Alright, he still finds a position. The tank provided some excellent cover for the Marines. The gold base is being denied, and that's really very good to cancel the 4th base and the 3rd base not mining.
You gotta consider, Elazer has had something like 500 minerals per minute income up over uThermal every time he gets to fully mine off of this, and uThermal doesn't have a mule running. So every bit of denial he does on this is just fantastic. But what I like about Elazer's position is he takes a 4th. So at some point, if he gets fed up with his gold, he can just say, screw it, I'll just take the other base, it's safer and it's better anyways.
This is dangerous.
That's a choke, funny enough. But the tanks, despite not being able to get surrounded, still can't fire directly in front of them. That dead zone from the Lings.
Yeah, he's waiting for the Marines. It's dangerous for Elazer as there's so many tanks, but it's also dangerous for uThermal. He's more all in than usual. So he did follow up with the tank
no
push and the
1-1.
5 racks. Yeah, but there's no upgrades at all. Like he would have usually at least +1 in a single engineering bay.
But this might just work. Look at that army supply, dude. I didn't even realize he was up to 75 army supply, and all these little trades paying off so greatly. The Queens can't get in here. Banelings don't have speed. The Marines should be able to focus fire. Their speed now kicking in, but the Marines back up behind the tanks. The tank's still alive, and the Queens can't really do much about this. uThermal about to knock Elazer out.
Yeah. Such a good build in this map. GG.
I keep like wanting to clap, but I can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, congratulations to uThermal. He'll take it to the winners match next. Or I guess he'll fight the loser of the winners match next. Excuse me, as I phrased that poorly. But the next one is going to be a ZvZ. So for the Terran fans and for the uThermal fans out there, a small silver lining is that he does only have to fight Zerg, so he doesn't need to worry about a big complication of builds. The downside, though, is, well, Elazer is perhaps one of the greatest Zergs in Europe. Snoot and Nurture are both probably better than him.
Yeah. Of course, uThermal has a lot of practice against all these guys, so it'll be interesting to see who wins in the ZvZ. That's what we're getting into next, Nurture versus Snoot in that winners finals.
Before we go to a break, I see Beastie tweeting, what's the meme with cats and me being masterminds? Did I miss something? I've seen a few people type it and say it already.
Already?
I was like, we just made like one offhanded comment to that, like not even 10 minutes ago. That's amazing. The internet.
Real. Oh, the lobby has to get set up, so we're gonna go to break. Bye.